Hello, welcome back, Fat Jockeys. We're going to kick straight on and go into the first race on the Sunday, which, Paul, over to you.
Okay, thanks, Kev. I mean, for me, I think with almost half an inch of rain forecast tomorrow afternoon and into tomorrow night, it could be pretty testing by Sunday on already watered ground. So that's part of my what's influencing my thinking as we go into this. So a few I'm going to rule out based on ground preference as much as anything. Let me start with the top one, Bryce Hill. Obviously, familiar with that one. He beat Surprise Package last time out. It almost like a different race. He won so easily, or she won so easily, should I say? Gone up, I think, £14 for that. It was a funny race. Speak to the jockeys in that race. They said the middle part of the race was really slow. So I'm struggling to think it's going to play out quite the same way for Bryce Hill. You put that with an increase in rating, I think she's going to struggle tomorrow. Lunar Display was actually entered, I think, for the Grade 1, the first race of the meeting, until taken out and running in this one in preference. Interesting, I think. You'd think maybe, is it far enough to mile 2? But I think given the ground conditions, she could be a very interesting play in this. Minx Tiara, I think, in and out form in many ways. Ran a good race behind Royal Kahala last time out, but it's a bit patchy. Horses like Annie G really need good ground. Been very disappointing subsequently on softer ground. Once again, beat Surprise Package back at Galway, but won't be doing that anytime soon on this sort of ground, I don't believe. Batani is out of form. Sit Down Lucy, Peter Fire's horse, looks really well. I think she's got a half a chance in this. Would have won very easily, in my view, at Ballinrobe when Shane Fitzgerald sort of fell off at the second last. I remember Peter at the time, he called me straight afterwards and said, "Did you see that?" I said, "I did." I said, "What happened?" He said, "I have no idea what happened." I'm not sure Shane knows what happened either, but it's a strangest unseat. But it would have beaten, actually, what you call her on that occasion. I think it got half a chance. Sit Down Lucy. Glan, another horse, in my view, who needs better ground. To me, in many ways, the race revolves around Party Central, and I think it's a real poor favourite. I look at form with Impervious and different horses. There's some form relations there which don't stack up to make, to my mind at least, Party Central a favourite in this. Delady in Red, I think, is another interesting one. Say Goodbye, I think, would be struggling on this ground, and that's about it. So if I was to narrow it down, I'd really only be looking at 3 in this race. That would be Lunar Display, Sit Down Lucy, and Delady in Red. And of those, I probably, if she's good enough to enter in a Grade 1, you've got to be looking to try and win off a 132 mark, and that would sort of tip me towards Lunar Display, and that's where I would net out in this race. 16-1, not a bad price, actually.
I'm going to jump in. I absolutely agree with that. The most the favourite is one that Spectre had mentioned as one he was sort of interested in a big price for the Mayor's Novice Hurdle, but the one Lunar Display, like that, she's only 6 lengths behind Allegory Devassi, 3 lengths behind Brandy Love. I mean, I'm just looking now what the price is for I think it's 74-1, the related double. So if Lunar Display wins and then rolling on to Allegory Devassi, that's 74-1 for the Mayor's Novice Hurdle and 92-1 for Brandy Love. I think I definitely back it. Well, I will do as soon as I stop talking. Back her at 16-1 tomorrow. There's I'm a massive Joseph O'Brien fanboy. I love everything about him. He's going to be the greatest trainer of all time. No doubt whatsoever in my mind that he surpasses his dad. It's going to happen. But I just respect him. If he's sending the horse out 5 or 6 days later, there's a reason for that. To win a pot. She's not disgraced in that race at all, coming third, and I think I'm going to back her each way, and I'm going to do the related doubles each way on both of Allegory Devassi and Brandy Love, because if she wins this race, then I'd be sick if I hadn't done it. So yeah, I'm absolutely with you on that. I think I think Spectre didn't send anything through, but I know he is massively. Well, he's definitely interested in Party Central, isn't he? So I don't know if you know much more about her, Jono.
I mean, she was one that when we previewed the race last week, the Sonorina, I thought she was an each way play in the race. So I kind of have to have her on my mind here. She's very short. She interests me as a player in the race. Obviously, she raced in the Mayor's Bumper on the card last year and split Guanji and Brandy Love, but she's too short for me. And yeah, absolutely agree. Lunar Display. I mean, right through the names that she's ran behind: Hollow Games, Chemical Energy, Allegory Devassi, Brandy Love, Mrs. Milner. At first I was shocked actually that she was out again. Actually, she's got a really weird profile. About obviously it works at the horse, running her in kind of very short gaps. She ran 4 times in May in the summer. 3 times. One was a non-runner. She ran 3 times in October. 4 times in October, including twice in 2 days. She had a 6-day gap in November, where she followed up Apollo Games and Chemical Energy. So yeah, clearly a short gap between races is no issue at all. It's quite an unusual thing, but it seems to be working for her. And yeah, I think she's probably a standout bet in the race. I like the favourite, and I have to give her respect because I'm on her for the Mayor's Novice, and I did think she would be an each way play last week. But yeah, Lunar Display would be the one. And actually, I'm pretty staggered at the price she's at actually.
Podcast nap. Done. You might as well, anyone watching now, you might as well stop. It won't get better than that. Which nicely leads us into the second race. Jono.
Yeah, and this is the one and only Galopin de Champs. I think in truth, it's not really about whether he wins. It's just about how he wins, seemingly for what he goes on to do later on in the year. Nothing more needs to be said. He was just exceptional. I've not heard anyone crab anything about him. So yeah, he wins. I think the biggest talking point with him, just quite quickly, is whether he goes on to face Bob Ollinger in the Turners or goes for what was expected race where I think he was touching odds on, but they pushed him out recently for the 3 mile Novice Festival race chase. So yeah, I think a lot of people will be wanting to see him run very well, but not too well, because they probably won't want him going on in the Turners. I still think the 3 mile race is probably favourite. I know the exchanges will say differently, and some connected to the yard, Ruby Walsh in particular, has been massively kind of bigging up the Turners as a possibility. But yeah, I think he will win, and in truth, whatever race he goes on to run in the festival, he's probably going to be favourite, even if Bob Ollinger does run. I think Capodanno at 10 to 1 is massive. You get the 3 places here. I'm shocked at that price. I know the owner, the trainer of Master McShee has come out and said they're going to beat Galopin de Champs. I mean, that is bullish. That is extreme confidence. Fair play to them. Obviously won over Christmas. I can't see it. I'm slightly surprised that he's second favourite. I think Fury Road as well. In the race, I've always questioned his kind of attitude. I think in the Drinmore, he had everything go his way, and he really should have won that race. And I kind of thought he basically chickened out, didn't want to win. But they did put cheek pieces on, and that did the effect in the Neville's Hotel Chase at Christmas. So again, he looks a fair price. I think he's 8-1 each way. But yeah, Capodanno to me, obviously it's a fairly quick turnaround. I think he probably surprised everyone with his declaration this morning. But yeah, he's over the middle distance trip. He followed up behind Bob Ollinger. I think that's a huge run, really promising chase debut. To me, I think he's going to follow Galopin Des Champs home. So whether you want to do a forecast or get the 10-1 each way about him, I think he's a big price at double figures, or whether there's a without market. I haven't looked at that yet. I assume there would be someone offering it, but I think he should be clear second favourite, to be honest. Yeah, have no interest taking on the favourite. Can't wait to see him. He's as exciting novice chase as we've seen for quite a while. But yeah, Capodanno would be my play in the race. Probably a few ways to approach it. Like I said, yeah, without the favourite each way, forecast, etc. I don't know what you guys think.
My only interest in this race is just to sit back and enjoy, hopefully, Galopin Des Champs just put in a superb round of jumping. It reminds me, for more mature, shall we say, fat jockeys out there, when I first started driving, first time on a motorway, I drove 80 miles down to Worcester to watch Wayward Lad run in a chase, because I just thought he was the most beautiful horse to watch over a fence. And he reminds me so much of how I felt all those years ago. And it's pretty special when you see a horse like that. So I hope he can do it on Sunday.
I won't waste any more time on it now. I totally agree. I think the only point that's not been touched on is the Jigginstown runners, I suppose. I think Beacon's Edge only got the entry in the 3 mile novice chase, and Fury Road is the horse that gave Run Wild Fred a bit of a walloping. So, I mean, I really respect him as a horse. I'll just throw in the non-run no bet price on Fury Road for the National and Chase at 7-1 is just massive, because the only way he'll run is if Run Wild Fred didn't for some reason. Even then, it's unlikely. But as a horse that you've seen on the track is better than Run Wild Fred, and Run Wild Fred is quite nice, or he's joint favourite. Fury Road would be favourite for the race, there's no doubt, and he'd absolutely wallop Statler. So if you want to tie your money up a bit, 7-1 non-run no bet for that is just massive. And that's it. Yeah, I agree. I think Galopin Des Champs wins wherever he goes after this weekend. I was looking at the 7-4 for him to win on Sunday, and then at the festival. No real point in taking that when you can get. I think you can still get 6-4. Can you still get 6-4 for the non-run no bet in the Turners? Might be 5-4.
So,
even so, there'll be plenty of time to debate whether he's going to win wherever he's at the time. But yeah, I can't. I've got no reason to see him beat, and Master McShee being second favourite is reason enough to just move straight on, I think.
Just very quickly, Bet 365, you can get 4-1 without the favourite Capodanno, and 11-4 that he's in the first two without the fav. So yeah, I think that's pretty fair, actually.
Would you bet that each way at 4-1, 50 odds? What's Gaillard Domain now? 33.
33.
That's big, isn't it? Is that not big? I know he's been rubbish, but have a look.
It's fully justified price, I'd say.
Yeah, behind Capadonna. What's his?
I mean, it's a good race. There's just one exceptional horse in it. That's the issue. The rest of them have got.
What's the difference in price though between Capadonna and for 2 lengths? What's the difference in price? Although I suppose he has. Oh no, it's not 2 lengths. He was 27 further back, wasn't he? Yeah, fair enough. Move on. It's you next, isn't it, Johnny? What are we on now? The can't win the champion chase.
Yeah. So yeah, we had a exceptional horse in the last one that couldn't be beat. He's not an exceptional horse, but I can't see anything past Jacques Passoir here. I think is there still some. So yeah, still some 4 to 5. There's some 8 to 11 in places, 4 to 6. Yeah, you can still get 4 to 5. I've had a good bet on that. You're having the bet on whether they can get him back to his best, or basically get him back to 2 runs ago. Forget the Tingle Creek. If they can get him back to anything like his 4 or 5 runs before that, even his champion chase run, which for him was below par. I know there wasn't much in it, but he did beat Greenatine. Yeah, I think you're getting that price because obviously the Tingle Creek has clouded the situation with him. He was due to run at Christmas, but I think he had a hamstring injury. Yeah, lines up today. They still massively rave about the horse. I think he's head and shoulders above this lot. Greenatine has had 3 hard races already. I touched on Frodon with Paul Nicholls' kind of bad run of form at the moment. I mean, frankly, even if he was absolutely flying, I would still fancy the Mullins runner. But yeah, Greenatine has had sort of a few hard runs. Obviously didn't win Tingle Creek, but you had the 2 kind of leading players massively falter that day in Jacques Passoir and Nube Negra. Ran in the Exeter Holden Cup off a big weight, and then followed Shishkin home. I think tackling this for his 4th run of the season is going to be hard. And essentially, it's on a track that Jacques Passoir has proven at. There's doubts now how he acts when he travels over to England. Certainly, how I would say it. I know connections aren't as kind of adamant on that one, but yeah, Leopardstown. We've seen him do this twice already. He's won the race the last 2 years, 3 out of 4 at the track. I think he's going to easily win this, and I think 4 to 5 is a very good bet. Can't see anything beating him.
Yeah, I can't really add too much to that. I think you've certainly got to put aside the Sandown performance. I mean, it's a slight concern maybe that he was lame and didn't run at Christmas, because that's a different excuse to what happened at Sandown. But he's been given time enough to come back. This is certainly his track. You'd expect him to win this, as you say, pretty comfortably, Jono. I mean, I don't. This is one I think I have a choice. I'm going to be there as an owner. I've got a choice of when to have a meal. This is probably when I'm going to have the meal, to be quite honest. I just look at the screen and watch, Jacques Passoir win. I do have this niggling feeling that Captain Guinness I could go to my grave saying this, but one day Captain Guinness is going to win a good race. Probably could have won the Supreme when he got knocked over, but certainly one day I think he will run a good race. But I'm not sure Sunday's going to be the day. I think Jacques Passoir very difficult to oppose.
Yeah, I think I don't know if I'd go nuts on him tomorrow. Like, some of his form's phenomenal, isn't it? Really, like he's beaten Allaho easily. He's walloped horses that have placed in Grade 1 races. Fakir Duderie, he's beaten Tornado Fly. He's beaten the mighty Tornado Flyer. So he must be a superstar. But he's not. I haven't gone nuts on him tomorrow. I think Grenadine will sort of be again like with Frodon. I suppose if Frodon's done well the day before, well, I suppose if Frodon blows out and runs sort of no sort of race, then I'll probably back Chacon Passoir and use him as a bit of a try and double up with some things. If Frodon runs really well, then I probably won't, just because I think Grenadine will be trying to win. Like, he's not going to win a champion chase, so this the race he's trying to win. He's not coming over for nothing. But I'll use Frodon as the gauge for that, rightly or wrongly. But I think if Frodon doesn't win, then I'll back Chacon Passoir at maybe slightly shorter odds than he is, but use that to double up. But yeah, there's I do look. Captain Guinness is all right. Liked him for a while, but I don't think he's Grade 1 level, to be honest. And then not interested in anything else.
I think you're probably going to get. I would have him kind of. I know you have to factor in the Tingle Creek, but that will happen. Mullins is likely to have had several winners. You'll be just coming off a lot of people having Galopin Des Champs come in. So yeah, I think he's gonna. If you're just looking at the prices, 4 to 5 won't be there by probably Sunday morning, and certainly by the time the race is off.
Yeah, that's fair. Fair point. Fair point. Okie dokie. So, where are we up to next?
We are at the Handicapped Chase. We've got a decent field in this case. I mean, just going quickly through them, Minella Times is going for the National, so not going to win this in my view. Blackbow, obviously a good race with Dunvegan last time out, although this is probably going to be stretching his stamina at 2 mile 5 the way he runs. I find him a frustrating horse every time I back him. I think he's better than he probably is, so I don't know. The Shunter hasn't run since the Galway Plate. Also, the trainer, Emmett Mullins, hasn't had a winner since I don't know when. So I'd be sort of put off the Shunter, to be quite honest. And the mix, I think, is interesting with the £5 claim off Jack Burley. I think he's a horse, very talked up 3 or 4 years ago. But Animix could be, I think, interesting at 25 to 1 here. So wouldn't pass him over. Can you believe Sam Crow is running in a handicap of 152 and is 20 to 1? I mean, if you said that 4 years ago, no one would believe it's possible. But here we are 4 years later. Spyglass Hill, consistent, but probably not up to this. Gallant John Joe, this one's really intriguing to me. A 9 to 1, highly tried in his last 2 runs after a long absence, almost off for 2 years. In high, good graded company most recently. You could see how he could really have a profile here, and certainly on the ratings, he's got something in hand of the Shunter, for example. Max Flamingo ran a good race in a graded race last time out as well, so wouldn't necessarily rule him out. 10-10, I'm trying to find a reason to back 10-10, but I can't. Although it's a niggle there that something might play out with him. Van de Bleur was entered in the 2 mile 1 furlong in the first day, and probably they're going to regret not going there. I think he's better at the shorter distance, and they're going to struggle over this 2 mile 5. Rebel Gold, I'll pass over. Fakir Delen, not quite sure. I'm very keen on that. No particular reason. I'm just not quite feeling it for that one. Definite Plan probably wants faster ground. Foxy Jacks is probably better going right-handed, although ran very well in the Paddy Power, finishing 7th. I think this is his distance as opposed to 3 miles. He didn't run well in the Fiestas last week. Coming out quickly after that, you have to be a bit concerned about that. But he's 33 to 1. I wouldn't discount him at 33 to 1. Mortal, I don't give much hope to the way he's been running. Winter Escape, if he was 7 years old and not 11, I think, take a chance on him at 33 to 1. The age, and that's not quite where he needs to be to win this race. But Birchdale is really interesting. I mean, obviously, ran well in the Coral Cup not a few years back, highly thought of before what was then the Neptune, I think. Once again in the Paddy Power, he came to win his race. Got tired, probably doesn't stay the 3 miles, but now he's back over 2 miles 5. I certainly think he's probably the most likely winner. And once again, he's got my favourite £7 claimer on him, Mark Madonna. So I'd probably net this out and say that Birchdale, a couple of savers on Anna Mix and Foxy Jacks, and maybe each way perhaps on those two, and Gallant John Joe if you're going to have a boxed exacta, as they say in America.
Nice. I definitely like Foxy Jacks. I did back him in the Fiestes, and I'm going to back him again here. He's the outsider of the field, and that's I just agree with you there. I'm going to back, or have backed, Sam Crow. Just because I can't. If he won, I wouldn't know what had happened. If he wins at 20 to 1 in a handicap, and I haven't backed him, then I'll just not understand it. There'll have been no point in me spending so much time in this sport getting so excited about hype horses for him to win. And what will happen is he'll lose for about another 3 years, and then he'll win like York Hill did at a massive price. And then, even though I'll be down overall, it won't matter because I'll be able to claim that I'm the big dog. Just like Tornado Flyer, that's what I haven't got a strong opinion, to be honest. In it, I haven't put a lot of time into this race actually. But yeah, I have backed Sam Crow and Foxy Jacks, and they're the two that I've got. But why is Sam Crow in this race? What I don't know what their long term plan is. I don't know what they're doing. I'm sure it's not to win this race, probably. But I've got to back. You've got to back him at 20 to 1. Sam Crow in a Handicapped Chase at the Dublin Racing Festival. Come on, all in. It's an all-in. It's a nap. It's the Glebe nap.
Love it.
I don't know. I mean, I think he was jumping the cross-country fences recently, wasn't he? I don't know if that was just to give him something else.
That's to boost the price for this, mate. Yeah, boost the price. This is it. This is the day.
No, I get what you mean with Sam Crow, but not for me. The two would be Birchdale right to the bottom. Obviously well found in the market. Probably needs to win or go close if he's going to feature in a festival race. But yeah, the slight drop in trip travelled really well at Christmas actually. I think the slightly reduced trip should help him. Very well regarded early on in his career.
That's the point. He's within the Bulger, so he's not winning. He's not going to win anything, is he? How many winners then the Bulger had? Ever.
It'll beat Sam Crow. Match bet Birchdale versus Sam Crow.
I'll take it. I'll take it, mate.
And then the other one would be I thought he was a bit younger actually, but Gallant John Joe. Just because he's only raced 5 times over fences, and he's faced Mellon, Notebook, Fernie Hollow, and Bob Ollinger, Capodanno. Obviously, well beaten. Certainly this season, he was a bit closer in his previous season. But yeah, I do always like that angle. Can sometimes be overplayed, but the fact that he's only had 5 chase runs and he's dropping into a handicap. Definitely of interest to me.
Perfect. So that takes us on to the feature of the Sunday, the Irish Champion Hurdle, which is a cracking race in its own right. We've had some fantastic champions of this race. We've got another this year in Honeysuckle, who's won it the last 2. If this shouldn't take long, I wouldn't have thought, because if she stands up, then she wins. There's no form line really take her on with. Appreciate it not running this race and running the Red Mills makes a lot of sense for Appreciate It. I was sort of I love Appreciate It. I absolutely love Appreciate It, and I think he's the only horse that's going to be able to challenge Honeysuckle. However, him doing that on his first start this year in this race wouldn't have happened, and it's sort of not that I'm against the clashes. I think the more the better. However, I can see why I am excited for that for Cheltenham. I hope he hacks up in the Red Mills, and then at least Honeysuckle's got something to beat, because she absolutely hasn't here. The best sort of I was trying to find ways to get a beat, and I think the best I can come up with is with Zanna here, who's the second favourite. He's obviously improving. He's getting closer to it, so he was easily beaten by Sharjah, and then he's only just been beaten by Sharjah. And say they raced again, it wouldn't be ridiculous to think that he could then be ahead of Sharjah, given their career trajectories. And Sharjah has finished two lengths behind Honeysuckle in April last year. So if he's if he's still on an upward curve and she's not at her best, or there's a chance he might get close. But I'm sort of clutching there. That's the best I can really come up with to get a beat. The market's got this right. Sanoir. The bubble was big. I was probably one of the biggest advocates of his. His bubble got burst. He's behind Sharjah in all known form, so he's just not a factor, in my opinion. Echoes in Rain is a horse that I never really bought into the hype around anyway. I know it was a sort of big talking horse at the end of last year. I think on one of the podcasts, me and Johnny had sort of a bit of a debate about her, and I think the sort of best point that was brought forward there was that Willie Mullins has improved a lot of horses over the season, sort of more so than anyone else has. They've made massive step forward, but she just hasn't. So she's just not there. She's running for she's just running to pick up some prize money. She's going to go to the county hurdle. You'd have thought it'd be staggering if she won this race. And heaven help us, who won on the card last year. That was in a handicap though, off 126. It's just not good enough for this. I can see why they're running her here. She'll pick up some prize money, but she's been beaten a neck by Royal Kahala at Christmas. And in terms of the champion hurdle, that's just absolutely nowhere near good enough. Like Royal Kahala is a stayer or middle distance horse. There's just no chance. Heaven help us, he's getting close enough to trouble Honeysuckle, so it's pretty much a walkover in my opinion, this race. I can't imagine you two disagree.
Not from here. Absolute certainty, and looking forward to it.
Yeah, agreed. Just sit back and watch and relax.
What do you think? It's probably worth touching on, but do you think Appreciate It will challenge her in March?
I hope so, Kev. I mean, Appreciate's one of my favourite horses. I mean, he finished third, actually behind Eric Bloodhouse, first time out as a bumper horse, and then he came out next time and.
Where do you go?
Amazing. So, he's one of my favourite horses. I would love him to, like you say, win at the Red Mills, go to Cheltenham and have a real race with Honeysuckle, because that could be interesting. It really could. He's not to be underestimated. Good horse. But of course, he's 8 years old now. You've got to ask, where does he go and what's been wrong with him? Because, he's 8 years old. Are you really going to start a novice chasing campaign going into your 9th year? And that's 14 territory. It's late in the day, isn't it?
Yeah, I just quick touch on that. I think you said it, Kev, where usually you want to see these clashes, but actually this is one where I'm preferring they go Red Mills, and it just gives the race something in March. basically, I think it was an impossible. As much as I am similar to you guys, absolutely love, appreciate it. As good as he is, it's an impossible task. Taking on Honeysuckle first time, he's had some setbacks. First time back over hurdles. I completely understand why they swerved it. So yeah, get him in the Red Mills. Hopefully, he wins quite well, and then it's just something in the race that kind of gives it something about. I'd still be surprised if he can beat Honeysuckle because she's that good, but it at least gives us a talking point in the race come March.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. What comes second to her, I suppose? Very quick. What do you reckon is second? I'm Zana here for me, which no originality, but he's the only one that is close.
Totally agree.
Yeah, make that 3.
Okay, bro. So on to, this is probably the race that this matters the most, I think, for me this weekend. This is massive, this race. So it's now called the Tatters Hall. Obviously was the Deloitte. It's the 2 mile Irish novice hurdle. Not Cheltenham Trial, of course, but it's obviously got massive implications. So this race, just the roll of honour on this race is fantastic. You've got Alexander Banquet, Like a Butterfly, Solarina, Brave Inca, for Paddy de Plastra, Dungwib, Beneficent, Champagne Fever, Vator, Nichols Canyon, Sam Crow, the mighty Sam Crow, wins earlier that day, Classical Dream, Appreciate It. Every one of them is a festival winner, and they've all won this race. That's an amazing roll of honour. This is a fantastic little race. I think this year, I've seen some people say that they don't think it's that deep a race. I think it's hard to categorically rule out any horse in this time. I've really gone into this, and as there's the Grade 1 race where 3 of them are closely matched. So you've got Statuaire, My Mate Mozzie, and the outsider of the field here, Far Out. They're all within 3 or 4 lengths of each other in the Royal Bond at the start of the season. The first 2 of those that I mentioned, Statuaire and My Mate Mozzie, they haven't been seen since, so they're reopposing here. I think it'd be very hard to categorically say that one of those will be better than the other. They're closely matched. The horse that was 3rd in that race, Mighty Potter, he had 3 Strike Life, only a length and a half behind, with Far Out another sort of few lengths behind in the other Grade 1 in Ireland this season over Christmas. I mean, Far Out's the outsider in this field at the moment, or he was before we started recording, but like, is he a ridiculous 33 to 1 shot based on that? He's 4 lengths covers their horses that are single figures here, Statuaire and My Mate Mozzie. I don't think that's ludicrous. I think you can get 5 places and he's 20 to 1. I don't think that's ridiculous if you rate that form line. And if you were forced to if you forced me to pick one from that form line, I've been big on 3 Striped Life. I think he was really unlucky in that race behind Mighty Potter. Not saying that I don't think Mighty Potter would have sort of held on if 3 Striped Life wasn't a little bit unlucky a couple of times in that race, but I did rate that form. But still, even then, that puts them all 4 of those horses. I think it's really difficult to be sure which one will come out on top. So, and I do like that form line. So that would be really interesting to see sort of where those all end up. And I'm really struggling to rule any of those out. It's either they're all relevant or none of them are relevant, and I don't think you can say that. Where Colonel Mustard finishes is going to be massively interesting for me. It's sort of a rare chance to see how the form stacks up between the British and the Irish runners. With he was only 2 3/4 lengths behind John Bon in the Kennel Gate at Ascot. Now I know John Bon's won that easily and been eased down, but 2 3/4 lengths isn't. It's not like he's been eased down and won 10 lengths. He's won easily, absolutely. But if Colonel Mustard is right in the mix at the business end of this race, then I think John Bond backers and fans will be very, very happy with that. I have put this up on the forum before we posted, but the Colonel Mustard and John Bond double is 84-1 with Ladbrokes, and you can boost that. I assume most people can boost with them, but that goes to 98-1. So if you're a John Bond fan and Colonel Mustard runs well, or even if you're looking for like a bit of cover on John Bond, I don't think that's the worst. 98-1's a big enough price to have a little dabble at. I mean, I've done that myself because I'm not a massive John Bond fan. John Bond fan? What? John Bond fan. However, if Colonel Mustard won that race, I'd be in absolute bits. I think if Colonel Mustard wins this race, then the rest of the Irish form's in absolute bits, and you're looking at John Bond going just automatically second favourite, Constitution Hill favourite, and you haven't really got an argument, so Gerhard will have blown out. And I think at 98-1, that's worth covering. I think if Colonel Mustard's absolutely nowhere, then that's brilliant for a non-John Bond fan. So I'd be quite happy. I'd be quite happy with that because I'd be able to rule him out, and also I think then the British form would be wavering a little bit, and Constitution Hill would get to maybe a more backable price. I think you got to look at him being sort of nearer 3-1 or maybe 7-2, given how strong like Supremes are. Well, if they all stand their ground anyway. So I think that's definitely worth considering for anyone. The Colonel Mustard and John Bond, just in case. And then just to touch on the others, so Stateman fell quite far out, went up against Watchhouse Cross, who won over Christmas, which would have been Stateman's debut. I think Stateman was coming to win that race quite easily, and therefore, like, I don't know where he would stack up for Willie, but he isn't sort of the number one, and I think if you're not beating one of Willie's number one horses, you're probably a notch below what you need to win a proper Grade 1 two-man novice hurdle. The thing I would caveat that with is he's priced up as if that's the case. He's 33-1, and like I am just guessing that Stateman would have beaten. There's absolutely nothing to say that Watchhouse Cross wouldn't have won that race. It is just a guess, and therefore, like, I think I probably wouldn't back him this weekend, but I think he's 50-1 non-run no bet for the Supreme, and I think if he surprised everyone and did win, then he'd get slashed for the Supreme, and if he doesn't win this, then there's just absolutely no chance he runs this. So you sort of on it's a bit of a bet to nothing that you've either got shorter and you can lay off for your stake or whatever, or that's what I do. And then still hard to Gatsby Gray, still unbeaten. He's beaten Monk Street, he's been beaten by 3 Start Life and Grand Jury. I think he's getting a third run, and he's probably one for handicaps. Probably. I mean, he's probably the only one I think I can rule out, and there's quite a lot of runners here. And the two that I haven't mentioned, well, sort of briefly mentioned Sir Gerhard, and there's also Al Fabiolo. So obviously Paul Townend's on Sir Gerhard. I think he'd have been first choice anyway, but pretty impossible for him not to be on, no matter how highly they rated Al Fabiolo. Neither have really beaten anything so far. Sir Gerhard has beaten Ash Tree Meadow 8 lengths, and he's won, but he's the kind of horse, well, Gordon's mentioned him for a handicap at Cheltenham, I think the Martin Pipe. A bona fide Grade 1 William Mullins horse is going to be beating horses like that easily, so it's not, you wouldn't go crazy about that. It's not like any of his other horses wouldn't be doing that, any of his other sort of Supreme hopes wouldn't be doing that. I suppose what I'm hoping is something wins this and wins it well. I don't see Sir Gerhard as, I think he's the most likely winner, but I definitely don't see him as a lump on, can't be beat, definite fair. I just don't see it like that. Like I say, the only one I can really, the only one that would surprise me winning this race is Gatsby Gray, and I think that's enough to put me off Sir Gerhard. Now that might be my natural inclination, as because Sir Gerhard is a horse I've already backed, I get a little bit defensive and try and sort of cover things. But I don't know what you guys think. I don't know if you think he's got it easy or not, but that's where I'm at.
I'll be honest. If I had one bet in the weekend, Sir Gerard would be that bet.
Oh, yes.
There we go.
So that's where I stand on this one. I'll nail my colours to the mast.
So what makes you so confident with him?
I mean, I think he got away with winning the bumper last year, and that sort of played out in the Punchestown race. So I'm not sort of really basing it on the bumper form. I always felt he would be a better hurdler. I agree. He didn't beat a great deal first time out, but he did what he did very easily. I just love the way he went through that race. He went through with a sort of energy and a zest, which just made me feel that he loved hurdling. And I think there's sort of, I mean, I know Ruby Walsh has come out most recently and said that he just feels great riding the horse and things like that, and that's great. That sort of just adds to the sort of my confidence more than anything, but it's not the reason for the confidence. I agree with you. I in the sense of the Royal Bond form, much of a muchness. I mean, either it's really good or it's okay or it's not so good. I don't know where it's going to play out by the time the season unfolds. Statuaire seems to have been dismissed, but it won well enough on that occasion. Far Out, I'm not a big fan of Far Out. I will say that. El Pabiolo, I think, is more of a, at this point, and I could be completely wrong, but more of a talking horse. No, I just, for whatever reason, and it's factual. It's more art and science. It's probably more art than science, to be quite honest. It's more just a feeling that I think Sir Gerard will win.
I hope you're right.
So this is the race that pays for your trip, then, Paul.
Oh, I don't know about that. I'm not going to put enough on to pay for my trip. I can tell you that now.
Yeah, I love the confidence. He's 5-4 favourite. I was slightly surprised at the price. It is quite skinny.
Skinny enough.
And there's some solid horses. I do still quite like My Mate Mozzie. I've got 3 Stripe Live back for the Supreme, and I still think we're waiting for things to kind of click with him. I think he's got a good chance, but essentially I'd be disappointed if Sir Gerhard can't win this. I think it's a step up from his last run. It's a solid grade 1. But yeah, come Sunday evening, I hope that he's elevated himself above this level, because I'm not sure. I think if he's beaten, I wonder how strong this race is going to be with the festival in mind. Maybe not as confident as you, Paul, but he's definitely my most likely winner, and I hope he does win. There's obviously a lot of related bets. I think he could. I think the 8-1 bet 365 Dysart Dynamo is gone now, but
still 6.
Obviously, we've spoken about it before, but this will have a big play on that. So I think the Sir Gerhard and Dysart Dynamo double is worth doing. But yeah, very, very taken by his hurdles debut. I know Willie Mullins came out and said he was up there with their best for a hurdles debut. He's the one with the potential, isn't he, to kind of kick on. So yeah, hopefully he does the business.
Absolutely. That's my hard work done. The most prep I've done in in any of these podcasts. I don't know if you can tell.
Got my nap of the day coming up in the next handicap. See if Paul mentions him or her.
I'm scared to hear what this one is, John. Though you're making me nervous right now. You know that, don't you?
Well, it's surprise package, of course.
That makes so much better. So let me scare you to start with before we go. into it. So Peter called me last Saturday morning and said, "Hey, he's got a bit of a crusty nose, and I'm not sure if he's going to make it." And of course, I was so deflated. I was convinced he wasn't going to be running. And it's like, oh, no, I'm just going over for one. I'm still going to go. Great weekends racing. I'm trying to convince myself and all that business. And then I start getting texts off Peter like, it's better today. It's better. And it's still better. And it's much better. And all of this. We did put him on some medication. He came off the medication on Tuesday. So well within the time frame you need to be off the medication by. So today was D-Day because until literally, I'm not kidding, until 9:30 this morning, we did bloods at 6:15 this morning, and then scoped him at 9:30 this morning. And I'm standing there watching the vet scope him. It's so nerve-wracking. He sticks his tube up his nose and he's looking through his little screen, and he's not saying a word. Just say something. And anyway, he gets cleared, and his blood's come out fine. And put all that aside, I mean, just trotting around and cantering today, he looked a picture. So it looks really, really well. I will say, my only concern now is if it just gets a little bit too soft for him. I do think he's like a yielding horse, but he ran well at Ferry House on heavy ground. I don't think it's going to get so soft it's going to be a problem. I think the race on Sunday will be much better suited to him than the last race. Like I say, when Bryce Hill won, they went really slowly in the middle part of the race. He's a horse who likes to keep going. He's got a high cruising speed, and then he likes to go through horses. And if he can do that around Leopardstown, I think he's got every chance on Sunday. The plan with him is to get him up 3 or 4 pounds, which if he won, he'd go up more like 6 or 7, but get him up 3 or 4 pounds so he can get into the county hurdle. That would be the plan with him. And that's what we're hoping for. But we think he's got a great chance in this race. We really do. So, fast run, even pace race, I think will suit him. He thinks he won last time. He was so far behind Bryce Hill, he still thinks he won. So he's full of confidence. And we'll see where that takes us. I think if I was doing a sort of without surprise package bet on this race, and there's so many to go through, but it's a lot you can, I think, sort of rule out. I mean, they look like they've got a chance, but I don't think they necessarily have. Couple of the outsiders I would sort of look at very seriously. Well, actually, I'll give you 3. I mean, Castmate has been well backed. David Jennings put him up and whatever, and you can see why. I mean, he's got a chance. He was in the Betfair next week. He's coming here. Got to respect Castmate. But 3 others I would give you if you're looking for each way or alternative plays would be Call Me Lyrene. I cannot believe Call Me Lyrene, despite the fact he's got 3 duckheads next to him this season, is 33-1. I think if you look back at his run in Punchestown behind Jazzaway last year, when he got knocked all over the place after the second last, and they still finished second, wouldn't put me off him with David Russell on riding for Gordon Elliott. So 33-1. Seed Ducat, I actually think is got a tremendous chance here. He's 16-1, I think, right now. Certainly, I'm surprised by that price. I think C. Ducour, who was also in the Betfair, has got a tremendous price. He's got a tremendous chance here, putting aside the price package. And the other one I would be very interested in at another big price is In From the Cold. That's one. His Limerick run was, I think, pretty good. And those are the 3 I would give a bigger prices. Then the other one I would talk about, Visionarian, obviously, is Peter's other horse, 25s. I don't see Visionarian winning, and obviously Kevin's riding my horse, and so I think I'd take that on, probably at face value, to be quite honest. Got the Anchor, won this race last year, but he's £10 higher this year. And on form, he would really struggle against Castmate in any event. Bally Adam is, I think you're taking a chance backing him. Arcadian Sunrise, top weight, went up the weights rapidly and probably needs faster ground than what he's going to get. And Esky Lane, although he's had more, he's come back a bit this year. I think I'd be a bit concerned that the jockey is fairly inexperienced in my view. So I'm comfortable with saying Surprise Package has got a great chance. I feel, very hopeful, very hopeful.
Excellent. I think I see Decora. He's been galloping the Champs. He's an absolute certainty in a handicap, isn't he? Finished ahead of galloping the Champs. That's incredible. Easy.
I tell you, not to be underestimated. I'm a bit scared of him, to be quite honest.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the castmate is the most obvious one, but yeah, Cedar I really, really do like. He's got some good foot, like behind Master McShee as well. That obviously doesn't look too bad either after what he's done since. So they're the two that I I like the most, and they're the two that I am on. I don't think. Let me just have a little, and I will obviously back Surprise Package.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, those. Oh, and I would mention Eclair de Beaufort at 40-1. Elliot for Jack Kennedy on for Elliot 40-1. I've backed him enough times that it's not gonna take me a lot to part with my money on that. He's a horse. I know he's been sold now, and I just think he's just. I've backed him enough. The case has been made many times for him already. I backed him in enough county hurdles that I'm going to be backing him as well. I didn't realise he was 40-1. I think that's massive. So
the only reason I didn't mention him, Kev, was that he's already got a mark which would get him into the county hurdle. He was fourth last year, and I think they'd be fairly relaxed if he went down a couple of pounds and they still get him.
Yeah, I agree with that. I suppose the only I don't know the owners well enough, I suppose, to know whether they would be happy or what they'd be inclined to do. Maybe you know a bit more than me on that, because some people would do anything for a Cheltenham winner, and some people would be perfectly happy with him picking up this. I don't know.
Well, it's a €125,000 race, so it's worth more than the county hurdle.
Yeah, I mean, I just think at 40-1, even if they are riding him to go down a bit.
Yeah,
I think just on the chance that he's, because the horse doesn't know that, the horse doesn't know that he's been, and if I'm going to back him. So I like Eclair de Beaufort 40s. I like Cedar Court at 16s, and I will back your horse as well, but Castmate as well, just really obvious. But I like him. And that's me.
Right, now we're on to the nap of the day.
Surely he's been mentioned.
He is. You're lucky. You two know your stuff. Cedar Court. I think he's got absolutely massive. I'm amazed at 16-1, 6 places. Like Kev says, beaten the exceptional gallop in the Champ. But yeah, I mean, basically in his in 2019, he followed Aspire Tower home. He was well beat that day, but by 13 lengths. But obviously, Aspire Tower saw what he went on to do. Rated 159. He had Wolf Prince behind him in third. Wolf Prince is rated 141. Then the following season, he beat Galopin de Champs. Obviously, I'm not going to say that he's Galopin de Champs is really tying in his form too much. But that was still a very, very good run. Master McShee then just was one too good for him in a handicap hurdle at Leopardstown. Next up, beaten 5 lengths, but Master McShee was also rated 141 over hurdles. You've got horses rated 141 in and around. You've also obviously got high class horses like Aspire Tower, Galopin de Champs that were high 150s. From that point onwards, he had a setback after Leopardstown. There was talk of the Galway hurdle. I think he was being lined up for that at one point. Did have a little setback, I think. He ran in the Curragh on the flat in the summer, just to kind of get a run into him. He came dead last when he was 3-1 favourite, but it was quite clear that that was just kind of a run to stretch his legs. And then over Christmas ran in the race that Paul's mentioned a few times, that Bryce Hill won. Surprise package was in there. And actually that race had one of the best names that I can remember it was a Paddy Power, I've had more vaccines than nights out handicap hurdle, which was brilliant. But yeah, I think he's been, as soon as he's had those kind of 2 or 3 runs over hurdles in kind of 2020, he's been laid out for a massive handicap. Like Paul said, he's in the Betfair, but goes here. He missed the Galway hurdle, which was one of the targets. The prize money is right there, right up there. It's the kind of pot that I think they'll be going for. He's only 6 years old. Yeah, I would think the run in December was just to get a run into him. It reminds me a bit of is it Longhouse Poet, who he had a pipe opener back over Christmas and then won the Triestes recently. I very much see it similar to that, where they've got the run over Christmas, freshened him up, and they're absolutely having primed for this race. They probably eyed up the Dublin Racing Festival, given the prize money for a long time, I'd say. Donna Mailer is back on the horse. He was on top for probably his 3 best runs when he finished in and around Master McShee, Galloping Deschamps and Aspire Tower. So yeah, to me, everything points to him being a cracking better 16-1. I thought he'd be probably high single figures. But yeah, 16-1, I think is a massive price for a horse that has got a lot of ticks in the box.
Happy days. All in. We've got a nap double, haven't we? I can't remember what the first race was now.
Lunar Display, Sea Ducker double.
Yeah.
And then, what a rubbish race to end on.
I tell you what, Paul, if Surprise Package beats my nap on the line, I'm not going to be happy.
No, I won't apologise.
Yes, I will.
At least I can afford to buy you a drink if that happens, Jono. So.
We're holding to that. Okay, so last race of the weekend. Pink in the Park wins, Jono. Easy.
Yeah, I said on the first bumper, they're not a niche in mine, these races. Obviously, Mullins had just the 2 runners in the kind of boys' race on the Saturday, whereas he's got 6 here. I would still kind of probably go in the same line that he kind of has a stranglehold of the bumper form this season. Pink in the Park looked great. Posted a really good figure first time out. I would go with her, but I have to say I haven't really looked through the race too much. So if any of you have more to say,
what do you mean? This was your prep, mate. This was your race.
I've just had my nap land. I don't care about this race. I'm not even watching it.
No, I bought 250 handicap horses. What are you doing, man?
You can't even be bothered to look at. Can't be bothered to look at the second favourite.
I'm not even watching this race. Has come in. I don't care about this one.
Yeah, fair play. I've got nothing. Paul Spector put me on to Pink in the Park during my my gap 6 months off racing. So I backed it ages and ages ago at 12-1, cashed it out, and then rebacked her again at 10-1 when she's favourite for this race. I have absolutely no idea about any of the other horses in this race. I didn't even look. So I've got nothing to offer.
I mean, I see, obviously, you've got Derek O'Connor again on a on the Peter Farley horse. Do you know anything about Battling Bezzy?
She's been working really well. She had a slight knock, but nothing serious. Superficial stuff. No, she's working really well. I think she'll outrun the 25-1 odds. I can tell you that right now. But I'm totally with Kev. I didn't know about Spectre and Paul saying that to you, Kev. But I mean, the way she won at Listowel was as impressive a win as. I mean, it's like the others were just trees, just standing there, and she just sort of whoosh went past them. It's the most impressive performance I've probably seen, not just by any bumper winner, almost any winner all season. And the fact they came out immediately afterwards and said, we're not going to run her again until the Dublin Racing Festival. It's not like she's had an injury or there's been an issue or whatever. This was always the plan. I wouldn't look anywhere else. I'm totally where you are on this one.
Easy. So, have we got best bets for the day? We all agreed in the first race, Luna.
Yeah.
16-1. And we're all on Cedar Core, aren't we? So there's an each.
One of us might not be able to be.
Oh no, yeah, sorry.
that probably will get the regulatory authorities all chasing all over me. So I'm not.
I reckon you'll still be under the radar for now, to be fair.
Yeah.
Till these badges are all over the place. Perfect, right. Okay, bro. Anything anyone else wants to bring up?
No, I just want to say thanks, guys, for inviting me. Really appreciated it, and I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Hey, you. To be fair, Paul, you invited yourself. You sort of forced your way on. I don't remember reaching out to you. I think. No, brilliant, mate. I really enjoyed it. I think there's only room for one Paul on the podcast, so maybe you'll have to arm wrestle or.
Oh no, I know when to defer, so I'm deferring. So I will see you this time next year.
No, I think to be fair, no, you've been cracking, mate. Really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. And I don't know how many people will get a chance to see this before it actually happens because it's quite late. But I look forward to everyone having a cracking weekend. It's going to be absolutely mental on the forum, which is what we love. And I will see you all soon.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah, cheers, everyone.